Jenny was 92 years old when she died. For over 60 years, the one story that everyone who knew her had heard was the story Jenny told over and over of a time when her sister would not give her $1 she needed for her pair of shoes. Her details made it seem like the offense had happened just days ago. She retold the story so many times, she had memorized every tidbit. One message came through loud and clear. She would never forgive her sister for withholding that $1 from her. Jenny kept this story and her hurt alive. It was almost like a favorite shirt or a child's blankie. The hurtful story comforted Jenny in her decision never to talk or forgive her sister for over 60 years. Pastor Jerry started us off last week by looking at John 10, verse 10. Jesus said, "The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full." He shared that Jesus didn't promise an easy life, but we can have a full life. We can have peace in the midst of chaos and strength in the face of weakness because Jesus gives those gifts to us through his death and resurrection. Jesus also warned us that there is a thief who wants to steal hope, joy, peace, and every other gift God wants to give us. The devil is eager to destroy our relationship with God, kill our hope, and do anything he can do to keep us close to our comforting God. Today we want to talk about the resentment thief. As any robber would be, resentment seeks to sneak up on us. Resentment is like the neighbor who taps into our cable TV line so he doesn't have to pay. We may not notice it at first, but our picture starts getting weaker and fuzzier. Maybe another analogy can help us see how resentment creeps into our life. You are on a walk with your family on a sunny day. You get a pebble in your shoe. At first, it's irritating. Then it's painful enough that you start to limp. Now ask yourself, what's the appropriate response? To keep limping and start grumbling about suing the lousy shoe company? Or stop and get the stone out? Yeah, pretty obvious in the bright light of a Sunday morning in church, isn't it? Let go of the thing that is hurting you. Yet how often do we hold on to hurts? How often do we nurture a slight from someone rather than talk to them and set things right? I think resentment is a splinter of anger or hurt from something that we should have dealt with, and instead we leave it to fester. Or rather, the resentment thief whispers to us that we don't have to do anything. It was the other person who offended us. It was the other person who caused the hurt. That is very likely true. Yet when we let the resentment thief guide us, we allow our hurt to grow to the point where it steals our joy of living, maybe even kills a close relationship with a loved one, or even destroys our trust in the God who would relieve us of this pain if only we would remember to turn to him with it. It is easy for us to cover up a hurt in our heart with some snarky cynicism. The resentment thief destroys our honesty. It makes it easier for us to say, "No big deal, that doesn't bother me," when the reality is far harder than we want to admit. When you are offended or disappointed by others and allow the hurt to germinate in your heart, bitterness and resentment will take root and begin to grow. Resentment can grow into full-sized anger or negativity. Resentment almost always grows into unforgiving spirit and generally negative, critical attitudes. Think the resentment thief isn't so bad? Tucked into the middle of a list of the horrible works of the flesh in Galatians 5:19 through 21, tucked right in the middle between the sins of sexual immorality and drunkenness, is this list of what resentment really is or what it can grow into. Hatred, discord, jealousy, fits of rage, selfish ambition, dissensions, factions, and envy. God tells us that those who let resentment grow are at risk of missing the kingdom of heaven. That's right. Resentment can kill your chance at heaven and destroy your faith in the God who can both comfort you and set all situations right in the light of eternity. You may think that sounds extreme, but how many of us have a story like Jenny's? How many of us have someone we are no longer close to? Maybe we have a polite relationship with that person now when you used to be so close. Maybe you don't even talk to them anymore. And if any of your family or friends brings up that person, your lips start to curl up in a snarl and your heart grows cold. Do you think I can just forget what he or she did to me? Like depression and other emotional stress, bitterness and resentment can aggravate our health. Health researchers have evidence that people consumed with resentment or anger have higher levels of stress hormones. It's like their body is constantly living with fight or flight stress. The result, it weakens their immune system and even does damage to the body, such as arthritis and heart disease. You are affected mentally, physically, and spiritually when you are full of resentment. Your relationships will suffer. Even your relationship with God can suffer. One of Jesus' closest friends, Lazarus, died. And one of Lazarus' sisters, Martha, seemed to be letting their resentment thief steal away the comfort she could have had from Jesus. When Martha saw Jesus, John 11, verse 21 tells us, she said, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." See how resentment can even be directed at God? The very God who could comfort us when we grieve. The very God who could strengthen us when life's hurts weaken us. This is what the resentment thief does in our lives, if we let it. We don't have to let resentment shrink us and harden us. Bring the hurt to Jesus. Martha's sister Mary felt the same way Martha did. Mary even said the same words as John 11:32 says. The difference is Martha let the hurt move her away from Jesus. Mary brought the hurt to Jesus, fell at his feet, weeping, and sought comfort from Jesus. Will you choose that? Our Old Testament lesson also shows us how strong someone can be, even in the face of insults and hurts when they rely on God for the fullness of strength and life. Hurts will come. A different politician succeeds the one you supported. Another person gets a promotion instead of you. A relative prospers while you struggle. And so many other hurts besides. In today's gospel lesson, John and his brother James resent that a certain village won't welcome Jesus. And they resent another guy who is getting attention for driving out demons. When they want to take angry action based on their resentments, Jesus rebukes them. Friend, remember this. God is the one who will judge. God is the one who will eventually fix all things. We are wisest and strongest when we bring hurts and slights to Jesus and let him offer us comfort and guide us to a better path, a fuller life. Hurts will come in this life. Even Jesus told us that. It is what we do with the hurts and the slights and the struggles. We can let the resentment thief lead us into deeper anger or weakness, or we can, like Mary, turn to Jesus, cry out for him, and let Jesus comfort us with the fullness of his grace and love. Like a slow leak in our car tire, we may not notice at first what resentment takes away from us. But we don't have to let the tire go flat and leave us stranded. Turn to Jesus and let his life and love fill you again. Let the life Jesus rose from the grave to give you be greater than any offense or hurt that the resentment thief will try to help you remember. Remember Jesus most and his promise of the fullness of life. May the Lord of fullness of life, full of love and strength for you, meet all your needs and keep you full in his peace.